Ladies and gentlemen, what a time to be alive for an Apex fan right now. We have got so much going on in the community. A boxing match that is on the rise between Nickmercs and ImperialHal. Also, an Apex Legends developer giving us a full breakdown of the Apex Legends matchmaking and a lot of details we've never heard before. A lot of drama that's going around in the community. A lot of stuff to talk about with Season 15. Some patch notes that got leaked because people were not listening to their embargoes. Let's talk about it. But before we start talking about Apex, let me tell you guys my favorite thing to do when I'm trying to relax in the bathtub, very hot temperatures, on my phone, playing some mobile games, which just happens to be the sponsor of today's video. That is War Planet Online. War Planet Online is a massive multiplayer online strategy game available on mobile, PC, and Mac. You can launch a global warfare assault strategy using real-time strategy to command and conquer. I tried that my first time and realized that I sucked, so I had to go back and get better. Sometimes you gotta adapt your tactics because war is always evolving. You can build your own custom base to survive your enemies' assault, stockpile troops, tanks, helicopters, and conquer key cities like New York, Paris, Moscow, and Tokyo. And you can play with people from all around the world who can become a part of your alliance and help you out conquer other nations, or they might become your next target. And right now, War Planet is also celebrating their 40th anniversary of Rambo. For a limited time, Rambo will create a truly captivating and explosive experience for all the players. I mean, we all love Rambo. Who hasn't seen the movie? War Planet is also giving away 40 vouchers to the first 40 people who download the game right now and reach level 10 till November 10th, and also will win $100 on an Amazon e-gift card. And you can expect those winners to be announced on November the 25th and contacted in-game additionally. So if I were you, I'd be thinking a free $100 gift card from Amazon, say less. Click the link right now in the description, or you can scan this QR code right here. You'll get 4,000 army units T1 and 4,000 medals for even bigger head start in the game. What more, you ask? I'll tell you more. You can also benefit from the great Rambo event. So download the game, folks, and I'll see you there. The first thing that I had to mention right here, this is going to be one for the ages. I've not seen two people beef like this that are this popular on Twitter for quite some time. Coco Puffs made this tweet about the state of Apex Legends based off a conversation that he had with his stream not long ago. And he said he was sitting on the stream and they were just talking about the content and how the game feels stale, and they just came to the conclusion that it's not the content, it's not the game doing a bad job, it's just the fact that he's burnt out. And that theory got challenged by the CEO himself. Nakoko said, after talking to chat for about an hour on Apex, I think a lot of us realized that Apex could add new guns, new LTMs, and at the core we would still not be entirely happy. The game's been out for almost 4 years. It's just simply burnout. We just have to focus on the positives. ImperialHal said it's definitely not burnout because everyone's quote burnout is different. And also the coincidence of this, of how many people are having it at the same time, is just very unlikely, especially when it includes the casuals and the professionals this time. And that's when Nickmercs stepped in, and my goodness, this got crazy. He said it's not unlikely at all when MFs like you cry on Twitter 24/7. Starts at the top, CEO. Your influence is bigger than you think. We're a week away from a major update, a new map, new legend, and ALGS. Obviously, it's going to be a bit slow beforehand, and that's when ImperialHal bounced back and said, of course I'm going to cry. I want to voice my opinion and see actual change instead of just sitting back and collecting a check like you. My God, that was a good one. But honestly, I think with as big as these two streamers are, they really paint the picture well of what the state of Apex looks like right now. You got one side that completely just says, look, this is bad, we're in a bad situation, we've got to fix this stuff immediately. The game has felt stale, the game has felt boring, and people are not happy. And then obviously there's another group out there that just says, look, it's not that serious, the game is actually still pretty fun, I don't think we're looking bad at all. And sometimes I think the best place to find yourself is somewhere in between. I do agree on one hand, you know, Nickmercs has got a point. The game does have a major update coming, a brand new map. Obviously, you know, we've got new LTMs that we've been playing quite some time, and it's actually been pretty fun lately. And I also understand from Nickmercs' perspective, and if you guys have seen a lot of the videos on the channel, we know that the pro players love to cry and complain a lot. When you're comparing this game with Warzone, yes, they don't get maps all the time like we do, and they don't get new legends all the time that have different abilities like we do. I get it. I do think that they're doing a pretty decent job of adding new things. On the other hand, you got to remember, Nickmercs is seeing this with entirely fresh eyes. He's not been playing the game since day one like a lot of us have been. So he's not experienced those frustrations of us asking, please do this, please do that, please fix this, please fix that, and them not listening. From his perspective, he switched over from a game recently that didn't have much content, and now obviously he's loving whatever he's seeing. On the other hand, ImperialHal makes a great point. No way we're all experiencing the same exact burnout right at the same time. Every single time that the state of Apex gets bad, bad, that's when everybody comes out and says, look, I'm sick of this, I'm done with this. So I understand what both sides are saying, and I think it is good to have fresher eyes come into the scene and kind of remind us, hey, look, you know, we got it a lot better than some of these other games. At the end of the day, we're not those games, and we have a totally different situation with us than they do on those other games. This is one I'm definitely interested on hearing your feedback down below. But speaking on these things that ImperialHal was mentioning right here, you know, things that people are getting frustrated with, things that we've asked for so long and we've not got any answer about, or we've not got any change about, or they've not brought these implementations like we've asked for. I would say that the biggest conversation with all of this is not content, but it's probably been the matchmaking and how frustrating it is to play in public match lobbies. Over the weekend, a lot has happened with Apex Legends developers responding to pro player complaints about this, and we got a full breakdown on a lot of things. So we've heard the conversation that Apex doesn't use skill-based matchmaking, but rather they use EOMM, which would be like engagement optimized matchmaking. I think now they're referring to that as EBMM, which would be engagement-based matchmaking. Then TSM Albrelelli, which by the way, I think is going to FaZe. If you guys did not see, FaZe is back into the scene. Snipe Down is coming back into the scene as well. That's already been confirmed. So really good news to see them back into the Apex scene. But Albrelelli also said this. He said, seeing SBMM on the timeline again recently, and out of curiosity, I'm going to ask something directed at the devs and the casual players. Why has SBMM been in pubs and not in a rank system? What is the advantages to something like this? Personally, I like playing against people of equal skill 99% of the time. But sometimes, he says, you just want to lean back and take it easy with your IRL homies who don't game that often, or just chill on some pubs. But SBMM kind of kills that vibe. Games that include both ranked and SBMM pubs, why? Genuinely curious on what the thought process is. And in previous videos, I've talked about SBMM and how some of the Respawn developers have made some statements about it, but those people specifically did not work on SBMM. They just knew a lot about the situation. But I think the responses we got on this from developers was way more in depth. The comments here, there was an argument between the AAA game studio developer and an ex-pro player for Apex Legends. It went back and forth for a little while, but it came to a head after Inhuman said, game developer at an unannounced company equals your opinion is more valid than an educated consumer's factual statements about matchmaking algorithms. It's a terrible take. I don't care what your job is. Bootlicking predatory matchmaking algorithms isn't going to get you paid more. That's when she responded and said EBMM is SBMM. When you lose too many games, it predicts that you won't play more, so it gives you an easier game to keep you hooked. Then she says that Apex Legends is strictly SBMM linked. Time of day you play, region, and population all tie into your SBMM for Apex. Many titles do the same, so please kindly stop spreading misinformation and being super aggressive. It's weird. What's also pretty weird is how she becomes interested in validation as she begins to tag a Respawn technical director, which is Sammy Duck. He begins to respond to this saying EBMM is a very specific thing covered by a patent. Therefore, everyone can see what it is and how it works. I would not touch it with 1,000 foot. SBMM though is a very loose term. It just means skill rating. We are a flavor of SBMM, but we are not EBMM. It kind of seems like he just worded it in a way to make her feel like she was right, but what he should have said is that we are a flavor of EOMM or EBMM, but not directly EBMM. We also know from Tyler Owens that if you just simply are doing bad, you will get easier games, which makes it very obvious that you are a flavor of engagement based, not skill based, or you're actually a flavor of both. But regardless, I mean, she was very happy to feel like she was right. That's when Sammy finally came out and gave us a full explanation on the matchmaking, and I think this is really what we needed. I like the transparency, Sammy. So he retweeted Albrelelli's tweet and said, matchmaking is the combination of three things: a progression system, a matchmaking algorithm, and a skill rating. And he posted a very detailed description of the matchmaking, so let me just give you the best point. But firstly, there's kind of like this number that indicates how good you are at the game. But because you're not drastically getting better overnight, usually your number usually stays the same. But obviously that's not going to make people happy, so they like to see levels, they like to see prestiges, they like to see ranks and all of that stuff. So that's why they have the progression system, so that it's engaging and it's not boring. And he says the second bit is the skill rating. This is where the math and stats enter to play and try to evaluate the level. This is where the secret sauce is made. This is why I've always said that Battle Royale is a casual game that has been made into competitive for the sake of viewers, because it's just so much harder to make this stuff work in a BR. He says that in a team versus team game, it's way easier. You either win or lose, simple as that. The outcome can be predicted in some ways, but for a BR, it's way more tricky because there's a lot of RNG and even other factors. And more importantly, what does winning even mean? Again, this is the secret sauce. A team versus team game, a good game is meaning you won. But in Battle Royale, you can get 5th place and still be a good game. So that's what makes this thing really hard. He said the last bit is the matchmaking part. How the algorithm is actually going to make a choice to pick your opponent and your teammates. It's going to be the closest member in skill in the queue. It's going to be the guy that waited the longest in the queue because he needs to play before statistically quitting the game. It can get quite convoluted and it's definitely not easy. On top of this, you have technical criteria like latency and region, so it's a very hard problem. So what exactly is skill-based matchmaking? It's just matchmaking with skill rating. So by definition, just matchmaking. What matters is the skill system used And it is where you should be asking the question, I think. So what does the game favor or think makes you a good player? The progression on top is to give you a sense of achievement, nothing more. You are what you are, and progressing your actual skill at the game takes way longer than the short loop of a reward slash dopamine you get when finishing a single game, especially things like leveling up and prestiging. To get back to the question though, pubs usually does not get a progression system and therefore is less sticky to players compared to ranked. But ranked can be scary because people care about their progression numbers, so you have to offer a way for people to engage more with the game without having to worry about it slash without stress. But is the pure skill rating that different in both modes? Usually not though. It's just not the same stake that drives different gameplay behaviors, which is super interesting in itself, examples being playing to win or just playing silly. Someone also asked why not do 3 stacks versus 3 stacks and then solo queuers versus solo queuers, and he said if only it was that simple. So I'm not saying it's good news that they're finally going to fix the matchmaking, but at least they finally addressed it, and now the fans know exactly how the matchmaking works, or at least have a better idea on how it works. For a lot of people, this may seem like a very small thing, but we've been asking for them to just simply explain things so that we can have conversations about it. Because we've actually learned from all of this, we can stop griping about the overall broadband of skill-based matchmaking, but rather maybe we can start asking questions about the skill rating that is used in the skill-based matchmaking. The method that they use to determine what players are good, what players are not good. Why am I being matched up with this guy? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Like the video if you guys did enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you're new as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to sign up for War Planet Online in the description below. Vibe or Die only positivity, and I'll see you later, Gators.